Tisher of BONSAI. We've been talking about college students and our seniors and how they can be preparing for their entry into the job market in just a few months. And just real quick before we get into interviewing and differentiating yourself, what should be on the resume?
What should be on the resume? You really want to be thinking about showing the employer your skills. And so if you can look back at different things you've done on campus or different jobs, and where have you demonstrated skills that they're going to want to see on the job. And so often I'll see a student's resume and it'll be fairly sparse. And then when I start interviewing them about, so what did you do on that job, I can pull out so many things in terms of evidence of writing skills, communication skills, presenting, analysis. So they really want to look at those types of competencies, because really the employer is looking at reducing their risk. When they make a hiring decision, they want to make sure that person is going to get up to speed quickly and fulfill that position. And so the way the student can reduce that risk, the more likely they're going to get that job.
So reducing the risk by kind of full disclosure about what their skills are, what kind of training they've had.
Yeah, and if they can really demonstrate that they've had those skills by giving examples of where they've done those things at the employer, they're going to seem more credible.
Right. Okay, so college students going into a bunch of interviews, and there's lots of people interviewing for the same job. So how can one set him or herself apart?
I think it's the little things you do. I think, for example, it's the attitude that you come in with. I think being focused is really important. An employer can very quickly determine if a student is interviewing many places and they really haven't researched that company they're going to interview with, or if they aren't focused on the type of position they want. So they need to have focus. I think the other way they can distinguish themselves are their soft skills. One of the biggest complaints I hear from employers is students are not communicating well, they don't problem solve well, and so if they can show that they're able to communicate well with adults, both verbal and written, if they have that level of professionalism, those types of things can shine through. And that can happen while you're interviewing. Also in the follow-up, I really encourage handwritten thank you notes, and then continual follow-up. So, for example, you meet somebody at a career fair, you haven't even had that interview, send that thank you note maybe a month or two later, or each month send a link to an interesting article that ties to that type of position.
So you meet someone at a career fair, a potential employer, and then you follow up after that meeting with a handwritten thank you note for the meeting, just for having had that introduction at the fair.
Right.
Okay, and then hopefully from that will come an interview.
Hopefully. And sometimes it can be a several month period where you're nurturing that relationship with that potential employer, but they remember. And even if you were a junior, you asked about if they're younger, if they meet that person their junior year, then the senior year, the employers will tell me they remember a student from freshman all the way through. If it's a good student. Yeah, I'm always surprised, but they do. And so it's that continual contact.
Yeah, exactly. And why handwritten thank you notes as opposed to emails, which I'm sure lots of students are sending thank you emails, or even a typed business letter? Why a handwritten kind of old-fashioned approach?
Because it's unique. And it's personable, and people are not getting that personal touch anymore. And so I think they enjoy that. Most professionals may get 100 plus emails a day, so you're not standing out. It shows you took the time.
Right.
And the other thing I say too is, and this is very unique, I'll do this often with my clients too, is if I find a book I think somebody will like. If you look at, you're going to have a $50,000 salary, and you're going to make a $10 investment in a book, that's not a very expensive investment, and it also shows, I'd have it something you read, so you can put a note in it, but it shows that you're reading, you're developing, and you've taken the time.
So send a book as a thank you to the person that interviewed you. I love that idea. Okay, so you have student coaching groups. Tell us about that real quick before we have to take a break.
Sure. What these are is it's a group coaching as opposed to individual, where I have 5 to 6 students who we meet once a week, and it's a phone call. And so we're meeting by phone.
So they can be all over the country.
Exactly. And the beauty of a coaching group is that you're hearing situations from other students and hearing their stories. And so you're learning to problem solve in the group. You realize you're not alone. And you also hold each other accountable, and I hold them accountable. So if they say they're going to do some research and get so many letters out, they actually do that, because the first thing I'll say is, so how are you doing on that?
Yeah.
And when you know somebody is going to hold you accountable, you're 95% likely to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
Versus 50% if you just write it down. And so that's a key component. The other thing that's done there is, in between those sessions, they're able to contact me and say, hey, I have an interview tomorrow, do you have any last minute suggestions? Or I just got 2 offers, coach me through this.
Yeah.
So it's an
opportunity. It sounds like a
to
great graduation gift, a pre-graduation gift for your college student to get them on track for their career planning and career success. So coaching with Loriana, I love it, by phone, so anybody can do it anywhere. So Loriana, thank you so much for coming back to the studio. You have to come back again in a few months and tell us what happens when we're panicked and we're graduating without a job. Hopefully there won't apply to many people. Thanks, Loriana, for joining us today. If you need to get in contact with Loriana at Bonsai, you can call 314-540-6114 or visit growwithbonsai.com. Up next, we'll get your finances in order with advice from Tasha Thacker. We'll be right back.